All right, so we're continuing on subject-verb agreement today. First thing I need you to do is turn to section 2 of your ELA notebook and title this section Subject-Verb Agreement 2. All right, first let's review what you learned last week because we don't want to forget about that. So remember the main points were that singular subjects need singular verbs. For example, Chris works cooperatively with his classmates. Chris is singular, so is works. So they go together. He listens carefully to their suggestions. He is singular, so is listens. I know that it may seem kind of confusing because works and listens both have S's at the end, which you normally think of as being plural. When the subject is singular, the verb will sometimes have an S after it to show that it is also singular. All right, the next thing we learned last week. Plural subjects need plural verbs. For example, the players work together well as a team. So the subject is the players. That's plural because there's more than one. And so the verb also needs to be plural. Work. They listen carefully to the coach. They is plural. Therefore, you need the plural verb listen. Okay, hopefully that worked as a refresher. Let's continue on to the new stuff. So what's new this week? We are going to continue making sure our subjects and verbs match in number, singular or plural, but we are going to focus on the contractions doesn't versus don't, and then here versus there, and then you'll also be doing some work with questions in your No Red Ink on Wednesday. All right, so you're going to take notes on this. Write down the rule and the example. Doesn't means does not. Since does is a singular verb, it goes with a singular subject. For example, Miss Fiore doesn't like it when students use their phones during class. There's only one Miss Fiore, therefore you use doesn't in the sentence because that is the singular form. Doesn't or does not. You may press pause while you write this down. Press play when you're ready to continue. All right, next, write down the rule and the example. Don't means do not. And since do is a plural verb, it goes with a plural subject. You also use don't with the pronouns I and you. Do you see a mistake in the sentence I just read? It has to do with this exact topic. If you do, write it down and fix it. You'll get an eagle eye point in your next notebook check. All right, for example, students don't enjoy running the mile in the freezing rain. Notice that students is plural, so you use don't. There are many students, so you use the plural form don't. Press pause if you need to continue writing, otherwise press play if you're ready to continue. All right, it's practice time. Rewrite the sentence using the correct word. Number 1, Tiffany don't attend rap concerts. You don't like to shop. They don't enjoy noisy, crowded malls. Rewrite the sentences in the correct way that they should be written. Press pause until you're ready to continue. All right, next rule. If a sentence begins with here or there, use the subject that follows the verb to determine whether the verb is singular or plural. For example, there is a delicious Slurpee in Jamina's possession. Delicious Slurpee is singular. She only has one Slurpee. So you would use is, because is the singular verb. Make sure you've written those down. Practice time. Rewrite the sentence using the correct word. There are cheerleaders on the football field. Here are your award for first place. There are your best friend. If these are tricky for you, a good way to try it is to read it in one way and then the other way first. So for example, there is your best friend. There are your best friend. Which one sounds right? All right, press pause until you're ready to continue. Okay, it's practice and apply time. We're going to do something we haven't done yet in these videos, and that is actually have you go into your grammar book. So I want you to turn to page 210 in your grammar book. You're going to do the practice and apply section, and you're going to complete this part in your notebook. So for each sentence, rewrite it using the verb that agrees with the subject, just like we did, but now you're going to do more. Yes, you do have to do sentences 1 through 10, so all of them, and write out the complete sentence. It's a lot of grammar work today. Go ahead and do this, and then when you're ready to move on, press play. Yes, there's more. Next, do be proofreading. Part of this year is learning how to apply things to the real world, to your real work. So I want you to practice proofreading. I saw a lot of essays this time that were not fully proofread, and there were a lot of grammar errors. So what I want you to do is rewrite the paragraph there under be proofreading and correct the subject-verb agreement errors. There are 5 errors total. So go ahead and do that now, and then when you're ready to continue, press play again. Yes, there's even more. Here's the actual application. So you're going to write a paragraph. And in this paragraph, the goal is to have accurate subject-verb agreement. So when you're writing, I really want you to be paying attention to, are my subjects and verbs matching each other? Your task is to write a very short biography, only 1 paragraph, about a musician you admire, any musician. Focus on the musician's personality and how the musician shows his or her personality in his or her music, or when the musician performs. So just focus on personality and kind of how that comes through in their performance or their music. Only has to be 5 paragraphs. Just make sure the subjects and, only has to be 5 sentences. Just make sure your subjects and verbs are in agreement, and I'll be checking for this in the next notebook check. When you're ready to continue, you may press play again. Yay, you're done with the practice. So you'll be doing no red ink tomorrow. For the rest of the period, I want you to follow the instructions below. You're going to do this activity called Grammar Ninja, where you get to play a little game, and it's just some extra grammar practice. And basically the purpose of this today is to give you an additional resource that you can use to practice at home. So for the rest of the class, that's what you're going to be doing, and have fun with that. Okay, you're all done. Just click on the link and you're good to go.